The world that we once knew is changing. Since COVID-19, we are left with the option of going back to the way things were or taking what we've learned and making some needed changes.
Hi, my name's Steve Wheeler, co-founder here at OneCommute. We welcome you to today's presentation. Welcome to the OneCommute Outreach Management Webinar. My name's Steve Wheeler. I'll be your host today. This session is designed for outreach folks with TMAs, TDMs, MPOs, consultants that help serve that area. And a lot of you come here because you need more access to information. It has to be easy to use. You want to drive efficiency in your organization. You want to change commuter behavior and be able to track employers that are changing their commuter behavior. Document the processes, have a measurable outcome, have a place where you have standards in place on your process, and have a place for history, and when new hires come on board, they already have information at their fingertips. How to report and use marketing analytics. We're going to be covering a lot of information today. We'll go into the application briefly. We're going to really talk to you and address your pain points. So we all work in spreadsheets. We have many different tools at our hands, whether it's surveys, whether it's marketing applications, ride match applications, van pool applications, guaranteed ride home programs. We have a lot of paper. We have a lot of forms. How do we make it easier creating reports? How do we make it easier tracking what we're doing? How do we see centralized information? How do we help keep our commuters active, engaged, and then how do we create the analytics out of there? So we see a very vast improvement, extreme vast improvement on efficiency and organization. That efficiency comes by reducing all spreadsheets. Everything becomes part of the system. You no longer have to pass the spreadsheet from one person to the next person collecting that. You don't have to then create so much time in utilizing those spreadsheets and trying to create reports out of those spreadsheets. We make reporting automatic. The report shows up to you at the end of the month in your inbox. Done. Voila. Pass it along to the senior leadership team. So we're going to be talking to you about a journey. How do we start off into the basics of the journey, collecting account information, whether it's employers, property managers. We get the contacts or our transportation coordinators. We schedule our meetings through the application, so we have one central calendar, all the activities, tasks, emails, follow up what we're doing with those accounts. We measure our commute programs for each of the employers' property managers. We capture the survey information, put it into mode counts. Then we start down the journey of how do we do a better job of marketing to our employers as well as to the commuters. And then finally, how do we extract information out of the application? So we like to think of TDM applications. This is a few and it looks like a lot. Certainly everything about outreach programs, we're going to be spending time in there. Certainly around the marketing automation, surveys, even in the parking management applications. If you want to track where your time goes, we even have that. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time. But as you see, we have a vast array of applications that really fit exactly what TDM programs do from a CRM standpoint, customer, or we like to say commuter relationship management. So this is all built on the world's #1 CRM platform. We built our Amazon Web Services, or our hosted solution is Force.com. And no, you do not have to have Salesforce to have our application. We are able to deploy it sitting on top of Force.com. You don't have to go to Salesforce to get anything. But we do make, if you do have Salesforce today, we make it better and useful for what you do in your organization. So we're going to start out with the basics right now. And the basics start around how everything inside of the application is 100% configurable. So if you see here, we have it organized in outreach management. We even have a commercial real estate where companies are looking how they're going to relocate or their employees are looking to relocate. We also have shuttle and van pool management, a ride home program. So they measure, these are applications. Underneath there are all types of little applications that fit into the larger, and they can be renamed to fit your program. So we call make it your own. So making your own training links, making it your own trailhead, how you're going to do the training, certification. So you become a OneCommute certified person. We have a release coming out here in December, how you can certify on each of the applications so that you know how to use accounts and contacts and program overviews or whatever you use in your program, and have a place for your folks to go see video training on those. And how do you customize it and call it your own application? So whether it is based on your state, based off your city, based off your organization, you can really make it your own application. So the center of everything is accounts. And accounts are where we are tracking employers, we track programs, we track city, and you think of it as account of information. And accounts are location specific. So we like to think of that as an address. And that address, and some addresses might be a large building where we have multiple accounts in a large building. That's great. We can track all that in buildings as well. We track contacts to an account. We track all the meetings to either a contact or an account. Van pulls. And so it becomes the center for our outreach management process. So again, we can configure this to fit what exactly your needs are on collecting that information for employers, property owners, property managers. We track literally every TDM program item that you might have, whether it's the transit facilities that are close by, gamification with employers, maybe you need a membership management that you need to track. What do your members pay you, either from a sponsorship standpoint or maybe it's just an annual dues that they're going to be paying you. So there's multiple applications that roll up into accounts. The next one being contact management. So like it says right here, it's the list of all our contacts, and we start listing the activities, whether it's emails, it could be calls, it could be the tasks, it could be logging a call out to those folks. So we can track all activity around an account and be able to put central calendars together. We can link to other things like we talked about, member management. Notes are a very important part, so we want to track what did we do at meetings. That's a fantastic item to use for when you switch accounts around within your outreach team. So that way we have a history of everything going on back in the past of when you had meetings or you had activities with accounts. It keeps that history all the time, so you can go back and understand which ones are the partners you really should be working with. So it's really that center point for individual info and being able to understand which are your main contacts in your accounts. Next thing, this is a really important topic, and we're going to go into the application here in a little bit, and this really is very important too. So the same application that's deployed in California is the same application deployed in Atlanta, the same application deployed in Virginia, yada, yada. But what's important is it's configured for each area. Each area runs their programs completely different. Well, one of the flexible things that we design our application with, we built something called standards or processing options, so that it changes throughout the country, throughout the areas, that how you process information is different. So we have these standards built behind the scenes to make things work differently for the different programs across the country. Certainly you can track events like inviting attendees, the times, the locations, just like you would with a calendar and Outlook, and can be synchronized with your Outlook calendars as well, and have one central calendar for everybody in the organization as well. If there's folks that are on different email platforms within your organization, this is a way to centralize all of your information coming in. We talked about before, certainly we said about notes, but we also can attach files. So if we are sending documents, we can show those documents in files or PDF files that we send to accounts or contacts as well. So the basics in here, and think about program overviews. Program overviews track what is an employer or a property manager, what commute programs do they have in place? What are they doing? Are they offering pre-tax benefits? Are they offering bike programs, walk programs, shuttle? Are they offering carpool? Are they offering van pool? So this is really the roll-up summary that is usually the fixed thing that remains constant for an account. But then we get into things that are changing, and this is like taking a picture in time of an account that you take a survey. So we have a survey management tool, we'll talk a little bit later, that you can use. You can import your surveys, but this snapshot then we can apply. We have probability in here, or built-in statistical analysis that says how many different folks you need surveyed to be able to apply to all employees of that organization, or is this survey only going to apply to those few that we captured in that survey? We can calculate that and roll up all the information to apply to the different modes that that company their employees participate in, so that we can calculate trip reduction, CO2 reduction, and even project the commuter savings and show that your employer a dashboard on how they're doing. Great example. I love my customer story. So sometimes the MPOs are purchasing our application and they have to have multiple TMAs to come in. Great. Here's a great example. Many users across multiple TMAs, all using the same information, and they are all using the same way to collect that information. We use something called territories, and nobody can see anybody else's data. But then the beauty of it is they can share if there's certain accounts. We have a lot of banks across the town that in particular, they want to share information about transit passes sold into a different program. You can even share information across TMAs if you choose to share that information. Security. So all the security is built in. We call it sharing rules or permissions for them to be able to see only their information. And then the master folks or the system administrators can see everything. And we go in and help set up those for your customers, for your employers, for your TMAs. Okay, so let's just take a little peek in here, just so you can get a look and understand the look and feel. So just like we showed in the PowerPoint, you can have a main page 100% configurable. We could put your logos in here. You can name your application whatever you want to name it. Everything in here, this is dashboards that we have deployed in here that is some TDM metrics. So we can look at trips reduced. Literally every field you see inside of here, we can create reports on. And a dashboard is just a summary of a bunch of reports. So if I click on a dashboard item in here, go into that, that's actually a report driving that dashboard. We talked about account information. We have multiple types of account. So if you look, we have different types of employers, but we can also track in the same thing in accounts, property managers. So inside of here, property managers, we want to track their information, we want to track their commute programs, but they're different because a property manager has multiple employers in their organization, so we track information differently. We can also in here as well have incentives or reward programs or levels of engagement that we can take a look at, that we can give them a status of partner, so we could give them a status of how many programs are they using, so what's called awards and gamification, how many points. Think of it like the Starbucks. We can start adding points by the services that they are consuming and or the commuter programs they are offering their employees. We can track their partnership levels. We can even track accounts as a lead. So typically you think of a contact as a lead. We can think of accounts as lead and track how many leads are we generating and how many leads are we turning into partners. We can have a score by our outreach team on how they are looking at an account. Searching is a very quick and easy thing to find information. You know, that's kind of the hard thing to do. How do I find information? We have a master search button in here, can find all the information. So here's an example of an account in the Atlanta region. This is completely fictitious information. We can show the property manager of the property they're in. We can have information on the building, how many parking spots are in the building, how many electric vehicle spots, whether it's LEED certified. We can have information about the transit facilities. Category codes are all about report types that we can extract reporting information by how we enter that in there. We can track the employer services that we talked about before, of what services are they consuming of hours. So a lot of information we collect on accounts. And then what's the related information? Program overviews is about everything that particular employer offers from a mode standpoint. So we see, do they educate their employees? Do they have an active point of contact or a dedicated transportation coordinator? Do they have program, bike walk, car share, carpool? So everything you would collect on an employer. Again, all of this is configurable. You don't have to have everything. We can remove what you don't use and add in, everybody has a few fields that say, hey, I need this that is specific. We can add in those fields as well. Go back into the account, and one more thing to say in the related area. So if you see in the account, and again, everything is deployed in this particular organization. So one of those things is, what are all those things? So like we talked about before, you can attach notes, files, contact affiliations. If somebody leaves the organization and goes to another one, you can see that they are affiliated to that organization. You can see a member management. We can see the history of all the meetings that were inside of there. You can do assessments on an account, as well as you can even track the best commuter work programs in here and track all the information that you need for an account. Any transit pass use that they might have. If you have to track any contracts or commuter agreements with that account. If you hold events, like they have an event and they let you put up a table, we can track participants to that event and track all flow to that event. We can create sustainability charts that show the customer how they're doing on their mode counts, or even simulate if they did a 5% improvement. What would that do to reduce parking, or what would that do to reduce the cost in their organization? So as you see, there are multiple upon multiple items that are linked to accounts. Let's switch back and let's talk about what are some of the more advanced items that we can go out here and use. So the next thing we'll talk about in here, program services. We said a little bit earlier, program services are tracking what services they might be consuming from us. Right now, a lot of us in the TDM world are doing a lot of telework programs, or we're doing COVID return to work programs. Maybe we did new hire packages. Maybe they want to do case study. Maybe we want to do corporate events. We track all of that in the services that they consume. And we roll it up into something called employer services, and we're able to then say, hey, you're at level 1, 2, 3, and have some gamification that really says where you're at on the program. Kind of like the frequent flyer program that says, you've either flown so many miles, here's the dollars you spent. Very similar. What are the services our employers or property managers are consuming from us? You can also track commuter activity. So if they're calling in to us, or they have requests, or they're sending emails, we're able to capture all of that activity that commuters are requesting from us, so that we can report back to our leadership teams on what we're doing for our constituents or community for those calls that are coming in. We mentioned before, yes, we can track all events, the participants, register those participants, and even create campaigns for events that folks want to come to. We can also track incentives. Maybe we're giving away Starbucks cards, so we can show who won the Starbucks card for any particular event. We said earlier, agreement management. So if you have commuter agreements, we can have the stop-start dates. Maybe it's guaranteed ride home agreements. So we can track any agreements that you have. And we can even make it a digital agreement that you just push out and somebody's collecting that information. We mentioned before member management. So whether that is sponsorship or it's an annual agreement, you could do it by account or by an individual and be able to track that information. And you can even show member billing that you can send over to an accounting application to be billed, to set up some sort of inquiry. If you use QuickBooks or some other financial package, we could link it to that as well. Certainly guaranteed and emergency ride home programs. We have the ability to have online applications. We try to only do electronic, get out of doing the forms. Let's make it more efficient. Let's make it a place that we can go to and look at the information and give everything electronically back to our commuters. Same thing with the reimbursement. We can either have receipts sent in or have it electronically sent over to maybe your taxi ride service that it's been approved. So another great story. Love our customer story. Southern Virginia Traffic's utilizing our application. They have a significant number of military installations, the largest naval base in the world located there, with a lot of van pools that they manage. Taking advantage of the application and how they're tracking it, not only with their employers, but certainly all their military bases around, collecting a lot of information and really then being able to send out marketing programs out to their constituents, and now even more out to their commuters that are logging guaranteed ride home programs and capturing information from your surveys. So as you see, there's the typical, give an example of a sugar CRM or maybe just a typical CRM solution. So some of those will just, you can collect account information possibly, and you're using just the basics. We have a lot more to offer for you that's already pre-configured. You don't have to go through some big arduous implementation. Literally, we get a list of your accounts contacts. You could be up and running in a couple days. And from there, it's a matter of sitting on training sessions and understand what more can I use, what more can I do to bring more efficiency in my operations, and what more can I do to help out my employers and their employees with their commuter programs. Just an example of, hey, what do we have and what would you like to go utilize in the application? Commuter Profiles, going to something even more advanced. So Commuter Profiles, we store, instead of keeping everything in contacts, we like to store all the information about commuters in this Commuter Profile. This gets into an advanced feature, and it really is collecting information from surveys. It is collecting information from website visits, the call-ins, literally any information. We can now collect that into a Commuter Profile. We can even integrate this with the ride matching application, so we can begin to start marketing campaigns. We don't have to then manage it in another application that's out there and manage it, a spreadsheet import, manage a spreadsheet export. It's all located essentially one application. So, just some of the things that are inside of there. We relate the commuters to an assigned account. We have standards behind there that let them operate differently, create calculations, create the emails, and link it into marketing programs. One of the things that really is now starting to really catch on are commuter communities. And the commuter communities idea about that, this is an example of a trip logging community, is being able to have a place to go where quick, simple tasks like logging trips or going for ride home applications, or maybe it's I need bike locker requests, having one central place for somebody to log into, take a look at, as well as it gives us a place to market to those folks. You can also create groups just like you have in LinkedIn or the TDM list server, where you can send out information to your commuters in the community. So here's a great example of one that we have deployed out here of a COVID update. It is giving information about what are the latest policies that are going on, what does the ride home look like, what does coming into the office look like, how do I schedule that, where are all my commuters, the latest on the COVID-19 updates. Here's a Twitter feed of the latest commuter policies around that's around the area. So you create that community either specific maybe to a customer, maybe to all your commuters, maybe it's just for logging trips, but you can create custom communities for your commuter programs. And this is another example inside of there, is creating communications out to that community and pushing information. In this particular, some of it might be the COVID policies that you have. Maybe it's about some of the policies that do relate to coming back to the workplace. This one has a survey which employees should come back to the workplace, which ones should remain working from home, who qualifies from work at home. You can even, the work at home kit was in here, go order the work at home kit to be sent out. Other example, the commuter community is being able to sign up. This is an employer example, is signing up for commuter benefits or signing up for taking a look at parking passes and ordering parking passes. Taking a look at planning your next trip is another example of commuter community. So they're really unlimited about the types of things that you can use. So this is an example. TDM specialists out there in the California area has been implementing programs a lot all over the place. So there are multiple tools that they were using, multiple Excel databases, multiple different applications. Now we have it all rolled into one, so all folks can see at all times. No longer do we have to worry about the shared drives. We just go look into the OneCommute solution and be able to automate all the services that they have today. Great story. Here's one of the ones, can't say, but this is another one of being able to use bike lockers, how you can manage each location, who has a lock, who needs to return it, a reminder, are they still using it, how do they qualify? So being able to deploy bike locker locations. Transit passes, so you can, a lot of times TMAs manage transit passes. So you could link it up to that transit agency, have them order online the transit passes, or you could have the numbers, you can have everything about the transit passes that you may manage and distribute to commuters for an employer and track that through OneCommute. We talked about surveys. So surveys can be generated out of OneCommute. Same thing you would see, such thing as in a MailChimp. All the functionality you need from Skip, how the look and feel. But then the real important place becomes the reporting and the integration. So surveys can be integrated right into mode counts that summarize right into an account. So now we can see the year to year, how we doing in each of our accounts and really analyze for that employer how they're doing from your survey data on an annual basis. Rather than having to take a spreadsheet, try to match it up, did it change? Everything becomes automated when using our survey tool. So you can see ours is designed really for commuter survey data, period. That's what we've designed our survey tool for. So really the reason why folks are using our application is getting to data quickly. And so those ways that you can get to data, one of those ways is creating list views. So a list view is like accounts. I could go look at employers, I could go look at property managers, and I can go hit this print button and it'll automatically print whatever I'm seeing on the screen. So that's a quick way to get to data, and I can actually even select the data in here and update it on the fly. The next thing is certainly about reporting and dashboards. Because we are TMA, TDM specific, we already have most of the fields that you're going to utilize. We have already 250 standard reports. It says 3 standard dashboards. I think that was updated. That's really 30 standard dashboards that measure all types of activity that you're working with the employers or commuters. And being able to use those reports, create dashboards. So every time we see a little dashboard component, that's just a report behind the scenes that's generating that. So creating new reports, it's simple, point and click. Every single piece of information you put in there, you create that report, you're adding the fields you want to go see, and you turn on a button that says generate the chart, and you can immediately visualize that. The other really cool thing is you can subscribe to reports. So rather than going and creating them and having to go print it, you go hit the subscribe, and it can be sent to you once a month for what you need to give to either a level of management or for federal reporting standards and so on. Is ease of use. You can also set targets. So like in this red, yellow, green, what are my targets for the information I'm collecting, so you can have measurable things that you are looking to focus towards on how you're doing on a week-to-week, month-to-month, or an annual basis. You can get every piece of data either in a print view or export it to Excel. You can set goals and targets, whether it's for an account, maybe it's for a person, maybe it's for a contact, maybe it's for, so you can set up all the types of goals and targets that you want to set throughout the application. We have a whole section dedicated to sustainability reporting, and really also about not only is it about trips reduced, it's also about CO2 reduced and about the savings generated for your commuter programs. Really cool thing too here is being able to create snapshots. Think of a snapshot of a Polaroid camera, being able to take a picture in time. Polaroid, there we go, dating ourselves. Being able to take a picture in time that says, hey, this is what happened June of 19. So you can, in the future then say, all right, here's how we improved over time. Oh, this mark is a little bit off. Snapshots are a great way to take a snapshot of our data in that particular point in time, and then allows us to compare how we're doing. Marketing automation, this is when we start getting even more advanced. So in the marketing automation, Wells and Associates up there, really, we count them as the leader in the area of really thinking about collecting information from our commuters and predicting what type of commute would they think about. If they're drive-alone folks, how do we help predict what we should be marketing to them? They have a lot of commuters that we're collecting information on for all of these types of areas that we're collecting data on. And just think about if we're sending out communications. You could send out a general communication that says 2,000-3,000 folks signed up for my newsletter, great. But if I wanted to send out customized, personalized messages, and I want them to maybe change a behavior. So there's a statistic out there that says, well, if I had 4.2 million commuters, and I'm only going to get to 10% of those in my area, and it takes 13 times for me to get to that person to make a change, I'd have to generate 5.5 million personalized messages. I don't think there's enough folks we can hire to create 5.5 million messages. We're able to do it with setting up the right message, setting up the right information, setting up the programs, and being able to generate multiple messages without being a pain, but really setting up a program that we can schedule information sending out to our commuters. So we build these commuter profiles. We build a pipeline essentially. Where are they at in the pipeline? Do they want to change? Are they already a regular user? Are they already an advocate? Are they already an activator? And creating those personalized commute plans of checking out. We can send them over. They're personalized. If this was transit, or if it was bike, or if it was walk, or if it was a shuttle, or if it was a van pull, or if it was a carpool, or maybe it was even the scooter program. How do we want to send a personalized commute plan for those drive-alone commuters that we're trying to attract, that we're trying to get them to change their behavior? So again, we're using Commuter Profiles, where we are using AI, artificial intelligence, where we are predicting. And we use integrations with Google, where we can get the driving time, driving distance, whether there's transit available, what is the bike time, what is the walk time, what is the map, what's the closest bus station, what's the closest train station, what's the closest. We grab all that information and be able to do a great job of predictive analytics, and then being able to generate those email templates and be able to schedule those email templates to the right person at the right time to get feedback and information. We can collect information from forms. So it's not only surveys. Any form you want to collect information, whether it's a guaranteed ride home program, or maybe it's about trying a commute, maybe it's about COVID information, maybe it's about biking, maybe it's about, you can create forms to collect information and feed right into the application. We create these things called commuter journeys. And a commuter journey is a drip program for essentially. And basically what it's doing is it's monitoring. What is our program doing? Are we sending out information? Who is opening up that information? Who's clicking on the email? Who is doing what within our marketing programs? And we use those commuter journeys then to measure what's the success of our marketing programs, including any social media posting that we're doing. Really, then finally becomes, how do we take it to the next stage? How do we put in commute bots? They come to our website, and we would like to have collect information without having somebody answer the phone. 24/7 customer service. We're trying to drive them to answers to the questions that we want to ask. But then if we can't answer those questions, being able to collect information on what they are asking us so that we can even make the intelligence to the commute bot even more, to be able to answer more questions. So in all, we're able to measure the commute programs. We're able to measure how many messages we're sending out, how many click-throughs that we're getting, how many commuters are we talking to, what is our pipeline of folks in each of the commute modes that we're supporting, and how does that compare to just using Outlook or using MailChimp or Constant Contact? Well, the biggest thing is being able to create all of the personalized content, being able to track all the commuter scoring, being able to track all the information on a commuter, and being able to translate that into the messaging. And that's not able to be automated within MailChimp, Outlook, or Constant Contact. So the next in our latest release, and we're not going to spend too much time on this, but it is something your employers are really going to be needing. So in today's world, we've been getting used to working at home, and we're going to see a turnover coming about, and that's going to be those making employment decisions based off their commute. So if we start going back to the office, there's going to be a percentage of the population when they're going back to the office saying, yep, no, I'm kind of used to this working at home stuff. So we got to think about how do we then start talking about that commute going back to the office. We know that there is an effect of commuting to the office. Stress, anger, aggravation, time lost, performance loss. Sitting in the car does nothing to help us at any given. It only puts stress into our lives. All of us knowing, listen to that, how do we help fix this problem that's going to be coming at us very soon in scheduling coming back to the office? The next thing to really talk about, 20%, this number really goes to 25% now. Employees are moving. Employees move once a year. 25% of our employees are moving. 20 to 25% are moving on their own. So we're creating an opportunity, and that opportunity is corporates are rethinking are we going to have everybody come into the big building? Do we have to redesign the big building? What's going to be our parking consumption? How do we have our commuters come in? Can they use transit? Can they use van pool? What are the things that we're going to do? So we're seeing a lot of change when it comes to corporate location. And then how do we evaluate? How do we look at our next place? We've built in tools to help employers to evaluate where their employees live right now and what is their commute to the office going forward. So they can make an analysis and really come up with what's the best and most efficient place that they ought to be thinking about for their folks to live, and make that and really take a look at that commute burden, optimize their commute burden. It's never been looked at before. The only thing we've put on is circles on maps in the past to say commute time's 15 minutes here, 30 minutes here. Now we can calculate that commute burden, and we have made this available for corporate real estate folks and deploying it for corporate real estate needs. You can too for your employers that are thinking about moving locations. Certainly create the dashboards on commute burden. And then the next thing is employees moving. 20 to 25% are thinking about moving. You know, we think in the TMA world, hey, the best time to start talking to an employee is when they move. Well, I think that we need to go further up the supply chain. How about the best time we're talking to our employee? Let's make them a long-term employee by showing them where is the best place to live for your commute. If I want a 15-minute commute, I want to ride transit, I want to be able to walk, I want to be able to bike. What is nearby me that I can either rent or buy that is a better commute spot? So let's go further up the supply chain. Sure, we can still market to them the different types of commute modes once they're there, but let's get them to help them decide before that and the locations that they're going to. So it's all about helping out the corporate in where do they need to think about their locations. It's about the employees that help employees finding the right housing, and really help them with decision support programs that once they're starting to look at that, How do we help them with the different money available at the federal level, at the veteran, at the first-time home buyer? What programs are available to help them finance those places that could be close to the office? How do we incent them to get a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 payment to move closer to the office or closer to that transit line or closer to that shuttle that we have out there for our employees? Parking management, big thing. Cash out programs. How do we manage the cash out programs, as well as how do we manage the variable parking? Now we have a lot of teleworkers, but they want to come in the office. How do we schedule the parking space so we don't have to have a fixed spot for them any longer? Or we have to go to our corporate real estate guys and say, hey, I need 100 spots. How do we go and get 50 spots? And manage that cash out program. So we can manage that cash out earned by employees. So instead of paying for a parking space, we can cash out to the employee by them choosing alternative commutes, track that to the employee, and be able to book parking spaces when they do need to come to the office, be able to pick variable parking spaces and book a time frame from maybe 6 to noon. I'm going to come in the office and it'll let me know what space to go to and how long I can go to that space, and show the availability to go ahead and book that over the period of time. And then we can also show the availability of all of our parking decks as well. So now being able to manage all the parking and have reservations, whether it's a barcode or whether it's a QR code, to be able to scan when we're coming into that gate or entrance, the barcode or QR code coming in to reserve our spot. So we've covered a lot of information. I just let you know there's a lot of things our application can do to help TMAs capture information. We have 0 customers using every single one of these applications, but 100% of our customers are very happy and use a lot of information here to be more efficient in their organizations. This is an example of some of our customers around the country that have used our application in the past that helps them with their commute programs. Last thing we're going to have in here is we're working on our latest new application, and that's certification. And that's certification to use the OneCommute applications and to be able to go through a trailhead or an event to earn badges on each of the applications. But it's even more important, so you have a place to go to download information, get the manual, understand how to use it. It's coming up. It is covered in your agreements. So, efficiency. It's about driving efficiency. Reach more commuters. How can you reach more of your employees, more of your employers, and do it more efficiently without having to go manually do all the things you did in the past. So we're creating a plan on how you can deliver surveying your commuters. We've created a plan for the employers opening up their doors. How do we create the commuter communities for really communicating to our employees and create the marketing automation that you need for your employers? It's all about the digital transportation. We do have a base pricing model. There is basic, standard, standard plus. There's also some read-only for read-only needs out there as well. But we do have pricing to fit your budgets as well. Thank you very much. This is the Outreach webinar. My name is Steve Wheeler. If you need to contact me or the team, I should have put in there support@onecommute.com. Please give us a call or give us a contact. Thank you.